proud effort to finish the season, if you will?
Yeah, it was. Look, they're a really good team, aren't they? You know, they're a really good team who I think are going to cause some other teams difficulties in the playoff. You know, when they get on the front foot. Let's be honest, Lamb's probably best half in country at the moment now in the Super League. You know, the amount of assists he's got. I think they've got threats all over the field. They're a really good side. They're a really well coached side. Look, Lam is obviously an exceptional coach. So to come here, yeah, I thought we put a valiant effort up. I thought we were pretty good in a lot of areas. I think they were, you know, in that second half in particular. I thought early doors. I thought if a couple of decisions had gone a different way, we'd have made different decisions, and you know we could have made a little bit more of a contest at the end. I don't think the scoreline reflected the game, but yeah, that's the way it went.
I mean, you said it then on Leigh, the talk of grand final is all the sort of about Wigan and Hull KR, but Leigh looked to be certainly in that picture and should be in the conversations.
Yeah, look, I think I said about 3-4 weeks ago. I think I still think Wigan are probably the favourites. I think if Bevan French and Jay Field play well, I think they play well, and obviously they're a champion side of Wigan, been there and done it. But there is teams in there that can cause problems and can make it difficult for them. And I think Leigh are one of them. Look, I think when Lammy plays for them, obviously we were a bit fortunate tonight that Pape wasn't playing as well. But when them two are firing for Leigh, I think they've got a chance. Yeah.
It was the final game tonight for Leroy and Cudjoe. Just to comment on him and his career.
Oh, it's been sensational. I've been very, very privileged to my sort of rugby lives coincide with his rugby life. You know, I'm a little bit older than him. I don't look it, but we made his debut together for Huddersfield. I made my obviously debut a fair few years before him, but for Huddersfield, you know, at the Gal Farm Stadium, I think it was at the time, or the John Smiths, I can't remember which one it was, changed the name that many times, but we were against Leeds. I think it was 16,000 people, and we've sort of grown together really. We played for England together, we played for Giants together, and I'm very, very privileged to play at the side of him. But I'm also, you know, I'm really privileged to actually coach him as well. And I spoke to the boys at the end of in the dressing rooms at the end, and we spoke about some of the staff that are leaving, some of the players that are leaving, but in particular, I don't think they'll realise how privileged they are to actually share a dressing room with him and share the field with him. You know, it's only when you retire sometimes you look back on your career and actually look back at what you've achieved and what you've done. But one of the highlights actually playing with Leroy. You know, in 2013 in particular, he made me look good. Made me look really good. I think he got in the dream team that year. He's been a sensational player, but he's also just a really good human being. I don't know anybody. There's loads of people that don't like me. My own wife, a lot of the times. But everybody loves Leroy. Everybody loves Leroy. He's just a really, really good bloke who's always willing to give back. He's at every community game. He used to coach Moor Green. He's at our scholarship. He's at our academy. He's constantly just giving back to somebody or something. So we're really, really privileged that he's going to stay on as a transition coach with the Huddersfield Giants. So, yeah, it's really good news for us and also a bit of appreciation for what Leroy's done.
Milestones as well, also for Ashton Gordon and Joe Greenwood. Just a comment on their contributions this season and how you found working with them.
Yeah, look, both of them two have played pretty well all year. Obviously in a side that, let's be honest, we've had a lot of young lads, a lot of debuts, a lot of tough times. Those two players have played really well all year. You know, Ash has made his 200th career appearance, which is a really, really, obviously, it's a great achievement. And Joe Greenwood's played 200 Super League games, which is mega, really. To think that he's actually gone to the other side of the world and gone to the Gold Coast Titans and played on the other side of the world, but actually achieved 200 Super League games is unbelievable. And he's showed that he's really good in both positions. You know, he played Joe in the middle. He's a big bloke that takes a lot out of the opposition middle, but actually when he's on an edge playing in the back row as well, he's caused a lot of problems down that left edge. So yeah, he's really handy to have.
appreciate the season has literally just finished, but I think injuries have obviously played a big part this year. Is there anything you'll look to do differently in the off-season, in the sort of strength and conditioning or elsewhere in departments to try and avoid that next year, if there is a way to avoid?
Yeah, look, there's been issues that we found out pretty much could have. It's always a bit of a could have potentially. We're trying to eliminate everything, and we're moving forward on loads of different areas. Where I don't think it's been one area. I think it's an accumulation of loads of little different stuff, and we've actually moved already in solving a lot of those things. So fingers crossed next year. Look, inevitably within sport, within professional rugby league, we're not a contact sport, we're a collision sport. We collide, and inevitably you break stuff and things shatter, unfortunately. But for us this year, there's been a lot, way too many soft tissue stuff that I think have been out of our control really, but we're gonna put right next year.
Hopefully you get to enjoy your holiday now, but I imagine the work never stops. 3 more players as well departing. Do you have any sort of recruitment wishes going into next season? Any areas that you've identified?
Yes, there's lots of different areas identified and people working behind the scenes at Huddersfield regarding the recruitment. You know, I have a wish list. I'll put the wish list in and hopefully that comes to fruition. We are always on the lookout for players and always try to figure stuff out, and you know, hopefully there'll be some announcements in the next few weeks.
Have you been circling players like in the Argos catalogue back in the days with the
Yeah, it's a little bit more high tech than that. There's a little bit more video analysis and stats that come into it. It's a little more like Moneyball, really. When you're in a salary cap sport, you know, sometimes coaches, it's more about what you can do as opposed to what you want to do. And look, I've said all along that if we get our players fit and firing well, then we'll be a way more competitive side next year. And if we can add a few more players into the mix, into the squad that we've got, and keep them fit and healthy, then I think we'll be in a lot better position next year.
But just ask you then, in terms of the flip side of that, this year we've seen so many debuts handed out with yourselves. That must be rewarding, and in the long run, that will only be beneficial. Maybe it's short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we can take a little bit of inspiration, really, what happened to Hull last year. You know, Hull, which went through that many injuries, and they had to blood young kids, even if they weren't ready. You know, we did it again today. Just look on the wing. You know, young Jagger's only 70-year-old. He's only trained with the first team 3-4 times. I'm not even sure if he actually knows all the lads. You know, he knows them really. So to actually step on the field, I thought were admirable today, and I thought he did a really good job. And I've always been somebody that wants to promote from within. We've always had a really, really strong academy, strong scholarship, strong academy, and our pathway at Huddersfield is really, really well. The problem being at Huddersfield is not producing players, it's keeping hold of them. You know, we probably produce more NRL players than a lot of other Super League teams. You know, Cruz has played NRL, come through our system, Dom Young, Will Price, all came through the Huddersfield Giants system. The issue for us is trying to keep hold of them, but this year I've probably played a few young lads that probably weren't ready or probably need another 18 months, but do you know what, hopefully in the long run, that experience that they've had training with us, playing with us, stands us in good stead for next year.
Just one from me, and it's more an observation, because you've had kitchen sink thrown into this season, haven't you? You know, with like injuries and things going on. What have you learned about yourself, you know, like over this sort of like 12-month period?
Yeah, a lot. It's probably been the biggest learning curve I could have ever had as a first year coach. I've learned that actually your youth and your squad depth becomes even more important. Actually, you know, you've got to keep, although you're hoping that your top 25 players that are established are going to be on the field each and every week, actually the pathways that come into the first team and the education that you give them is vital, because you might need to throw 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 in at any moment. So actually, what we're doing at Huddersfield, we need to keep doing and improve on.
Thanks, guys.